Friday Night Blitz is sponsored by Fairway Meat and Grocery.
This is the Southeast Polk student section, and you're watching Friday Night Blitz. Let's go!
Well, welcome into Friday Night Blitz, the final one of the season.
Crazy.
I know. I'm Raina Garcia, joined by Jake Bren, and our final game of the week features just one of our local teams, that being Southeast Polk. Now, this season has been very different for the Rams compared to the last few years, but very well could still end the same way.
We all know the dynasty that they've had. They have been in the state quarterfinals for 5 years in a row now, but their path this year has been way different than years past. The standard is high at Southeast Polk.
Pressure's a privilege, and playing here has become a big deal because of the guys that have come before them, and some of those guys, have played at a high level.
Division I players like Caden Proctor, Abu Sama, Xavier Nwampa, and Connor Moberly helped Southeast Polk lose only 3 games from 2020 to 2023. But in this season alone, the Rams have lost 4.
We're in a different situation, and so that's the lesson, is that there's a belief that we're going to overcome adversity and put ourselves in a position to go in, and that's been good. We've had plenty of that, and nobody's going to feel sorry for us, so we understand that.
Despite 4 regular season losses, Southeast Polk has put themselves in a spot to get back to the Dome.
A couple early losses, we didn't know what our season was going to look like in the end. We didn't know we were going to make playoffs, but the whole time we had confidence. We knew that we had a good shot.
We're kind of a new team, so there's not that many of us that have been there, but they were behind guys, so they know what it takes to go out there and just put on a show.
Doing all the things that it takes to win games in November, taking care of the ball, scoring points when you get in the red zone, situational football, getting off the field on third down, and so those things, that hasn't changed all year, and now they get amplified.
Game of the Week, sponsored by Fairway Meat and Grocery.
Southeast Polk taking on Iowa City West for the first time since 2019. We all know where the winner goes. Southeast Polk opens with the ball, and Landon Vanderwerf takes them into the end zone. The Rams take a 7-0 lead. Still in the first quarter, Drew Thompson takes the handoff. Nice gain up the middle, but the pile keeps pushing, and somehow, some way, Thompson comes out of it. Touchdown Rams. What a run. 14-0 Southeast Polk. The Rams defense forces a turnover on downs. Then Thompson takes the handoff and bounces outside. Thompson scores his second of the day. 3 drives, 3 touchdowns for Southeast Polk. Then another turnover on downs turns into a QB sneak for Holden Hansen. The Rams bring the boom, 42-15. No doom, they're off to the Dome.
Over at Valley Stadium, the Tigers hosting Johnston in a good old CIML match. A first quarter senior King Coleman gets the carry. He finds an opening, and there he goes. The Dragons giving chase. They're going to try and punch it out there at the end, but Coleman hangs on and helps Valley jump out to a 7-0 lead. The run game working pretty well for the Tigers tonight. This time it's Jaden Davison who finds his way into the end zone. And just like that, Valley goes up by 2 touchdowns. On to the second quarter. Johnston starting to pick up some steam. Will Nuss takes this one in himself for the score. And the Dragons get on the board. He's fired up. The student section is fired up. There's plenty more where that came from. Check this out. Vincent Peterson on the punt return fields it cleanly off the bounce, making guys miss, slipping out of tackles, makes another miss, and it's a foot race to the goal line until it wasn't. He takes this one to the house, and Johnston makes it a 14-13 game. This one came down to the wire, but Valley wins it 38-35.
A CIML rematch. Dowling beat Centennial 41-35 a month ago. Centennial is the one getting off to the hot start. Chase Kluver to Chase Reed on the first play of the game for Centennial, but the drive ends in a missed field goal. Dowling ball now. Cale Woods picks it off and heads down the sideline before being brought down, but that drive results in no points. Still 0-0. Centennial finally gets on the board with a field goal by Ryan Bendazoo. 3-0 Jags. End of the first half. Ryan Bobo gets the sack for Dowling, and the Maroons use that defense to win a low-scoring affair, 14-10.
Let's head to Iowa City. Ankeny on the road facing Iowa City Liberty. Now, we were scoreless with under 3.5 to go in the first. The Lightning go for it on 4th down, and it pays off. Sutton Kohler finds the end zone to put his team in front. Here come the Hawks. Luke Anderson airs this one out to Owen Fisher. He makes the tough contested catch and gets in for the touchdown. But IC Liberty was just one step in front, it seemed like, the entire night. Ankeny comes up short in this one, 21-13.
Time for Play of the Week nominee number 1. Drew Thompson is somewhere in that pile, and this is every strength coach's dream. That is why you do your squats, ladies and gentlemen. Thompson somehow breaks out of the pile and scores a 22-yard touchdown. He somehow scored from that. Unbelievable.
Definitely impressive. Well, we still have a lot to get to here on Friday Night Blitz. Coming up, we'll go inside the huddle for the final time this season with the PCM Mustangs. Welcome back to Friday Night Blitz. We'll pick things back up with the Class 4A quarterfinals. Dave Bingham starts us off in Alleman with the highlights from North Polk versus Xavier.
Quarterfinal round. It doesn't get any more special than this. A trip to the Dome on the line, and North Polk hosting the Beast from the East, Cedar Rapids Xavier. They've been to the Dome 8 times in the last 12 years. Last year they didn't get in. North Polk got them. Rematch tonight right here in Alleman. So yeah, here come the Saints. Got a chance to talk to Dwayne Schulte before the game, and he said he's on pins and needles for this game and the Iowa game. His son Quinn, of course, playing for the Hawkeyes against UCLA tonight. North Polk fans ready to go. Opening drive, Saints did a really good job running the ball. Carter Hoffman with a first down pickup, and then 3rd and 6 now. Cash Parks goes back to pass. This is ruled a lateral. Great job by Carter Van Brockland to get on it, and the Comets are in business on their first drive. Running the ball this time on a big 3rd down pickup by the big guy, Henry Christensen. Physical, but Nathan Feldman just hard to handle. One of the best players in the state. You don't know if he's got it or if he hands it off. He's good at the mesh point. Big first down pickup here. And then from the 3-yard line, does Feldman have it or doesn't he? Nope, it's BJ Tate for the touchdown. They go for 2 and get it. 8-zip Comets. Then the Saints try to answer. Parks going to the air, but he is picked off by Feldman, doing it on both sides of the football. Saints defense holds, and then the Comets defense comes up big. Luke Eggenbretson and the D gets the sack here. Comets get another chance to score. Feldman, this is a physical game. Pads popping, both teams very good defensively. Now it's 4th and 6 from the 6, and Feldman tries to get in again, but Xander Armstrong and the Saints defense holds him out of the end zone, 8-zip at the half. But to start the second half in the third quarter, Feldman around the left side, and he is gone. 58 yards for the touchdown, 15-0 North Polk at this point. So great highlights from the Comets, that Feldman run, much more, and Jesse will have those on our Dome Dynasty social media. You want to check that out. 35-14, the Comets win. I just got to let Raina and Jake know, you talked about the shooting a couple weeks ago that Jesse did. That was actually me. The old man still has it, but tonight it was the Comets getting back to the Dome and maybe getting that elusive championship for Coach DeBrink and everybody here in the greater parts of Alleman and Polk City. So that's going to do it. Send it back to you guys in the studio.
Inside the Huddle, sponsored by Des Moines Orthopedic Surgeons.
In our final Inside the Huddle of the season, I caught up with the undefeated PCM Mustangs. Now, after falling short in the quarterfinals last year, this team is more motivated than ever to make it to the Dome. It's been 4 years since the Mustangs' last trip to the state semifinals and 6 since they won their last state title. Now, this year's team has been dominant all season long, mostly due to their high-powered offense. And to put that in perspective, the least amount of points they've scored in a game this season is 30. Their defense has been complementary to that, holding opponents to just 8 points per game. And even though they've established themselves as one of the top contenders in 2A, the Mustangs feel like they still have something to prove, and they won't be satisfied until they're hoisting up a state championship trophy.
We're kind of embracing it, but we also kind of like to push it away. We like to think that we're the underdogs and that we have something to prove, just so we always have something to work towards.
It would mean an absolute ton because after 2020 we weren't awesome, so getting another chance to go would be great.
Making it to the Dome is one thing, but winning that state title is a whole nother level of excitement and just program building.
The undefeated Mustangs hosting Mid-Prairie in Monroe. Good start for PCM down in the red zone. Gavin Van Gorp gets a brotherly shove into the end zone. 7-0 PCM. Now it's the running back's turn. Adrian Robbins runs it down the middle, makes it 14-0, and the Mustangs shut them out. They're off to the Dome for the third time since 2018.
Well, we'll stay into a Van Meter hosting Anamosa. Now, something you're not used to seeing is Van Meter with no points near the end of the first quarter, but they managed to get on the board with a touchdown by Jay Haley. And the Bulldogs head into the second with a 7-0 lead, and they were off to the races from there. Check out this run by Garrett Cole. Had some trouble finding him at first, but once he broke out into space, he had a clear path down the sideline to the end zone. And Van Meter doubles the lead at 14. Now, later in the second, the Blue Raiders were moving on this drive, but the Bulldog defense causes a sack, fumble, and guess who recovers? It's Garrett Cole on the scoop, but can he score? He keeps those legs churning, gets some extra reinforcement, almost breaks loose here, but goes down just outside the 20-yard line. They end up settling for a field goal, but the defense wasn't done wreaking havoc. Anamosa pinned down deep in their territory. They mishandled the pitch, and Trevor Coyle jumps on it. It's Van Meter ball. They're able to finish this one off, finding the end zone, and the Dogs keep rolling 31-0, and they are headed back to the Dome.
Coach of the Week, sponsored by Wyckoff Heating and Cooling.
The North Polk Comets are heading to the Dome after a dominant win over Cedar Rapids Xavier. We'll send it back out to Dave Bingham, who's standing by with our Coach of the Week, Tim TeBrink.
Hey, final time with our Wyckoff's Heating and Cooling Coach of the Week. 25 years of the Blitz, and our 25th year ends. Quarterfinal round, it's special. I mean, as a player, as a coach, as a fan, these nights are great. And then you got a team over there that you had to beat 2 years in a row to get to the Dome. They've been there eight times the last 12 years. What's it mean to put it together and have this moment and play so well?
It's so much fun to watch our seniors go out and play. And they knew, whether they knew it or not, but they haven't lost on this field in 2 years. And so for us to come get a win on our home field to go to the Dome, it's extra special. We did it a year ago. Our guys learned from it, and now we gotta get ourselves ready to go for a Dome trip next week.
Well, what do you think? We've talked a lot about your culture, and then sometimes when you've really established that, you're going to have great, you're going to have the athleticism, and you're going to have great teams. But what's a little bit different about this year? What's the advantage maybe to having been there? Because once you start cycling, then it kind of gives you that opportunity to maybe get that ultimate prize. But what's special about this group?
This group has really embraced the joy for others. When one guy makes a play, there's 10 guys celebrating all together. And it's that joy that they have as a team. It's not one individual. Yeah, Nate runs the ball, BJ runs the ball, but it takes 11 guys on OD and special to do what we've done. And to watch these guys have so much joy for each other running off the sideline. When Jake Houpt scores a touchdown down there, players and coaches are excited for him. It's not just Jake being happy for himself, it's everybody being happy.
I think the key element, though, is when you look at a program, you had opportunities. You really dominated the first half. And you had opportunities to score and you didn't. So there's something going on where the kids are staying balanced. Can you speak to that? Is there something there?
Well, we had some good halftime corrections. They were doing a good job of getting off blocks and getting tackles at the point of attack. And we had to do a better job of getting guys covered up. And we challenged our O-line at halftime and say, hey, if we want to win this thing, we need you. And at that point, I think it was a 8-0 ball game. And we got a early big run to go to 15, and just kind of chipped away, and kind of let a little bit go in the back half there. But a win's a win, and we survived and we advanced.
Yeah, the final score never matters. But congratulations, Coach DeBrink. 25 years. He ends the last of the 25th year. Back to you guys in the studio.
Our second play of the week nominee comes from Van Meter. We saw a little bit ago getting the sack, the fumble, and Garrett Cole recovers it, heads the other way, just drives this defender back, and then his buddies get in on it. He almost gets loose again. Can't quite stay upright, but still a great effort all around nonetheless.
We're going to take a quick break on Blitz, but when we come back, we're going to give away our final game ball of the season. Our final play of the week nominee is from Johnston. Vincent Peterson on the punt return stays on his feet after making a guy miss and then makes another man miss, gets the block, and dances on into the end zone. We'll find out our winner of Play of the Week just in a little bit.
Game Ball, sponsored by Fairway Meat and Grocery.
All right, it's time to give away our final game ball of the season, and tonight it is going to go to everyone who has been a part of Friday Night Blitz over the last 25 seasons. And I mean everyone from the OGs like Dave Bingham and John Walters to everyone who has come along, along the way, and to our production crew, our news staff who helps shoot games for us, our digital team for tracking down the scores and getting the show on the web, and of course the MVP every Friday night, Stephanie Engelson, who picks up pizza for the newsroom during these chaotic nights. We couldn't have done it without you guys.
There's probably been hundreds of people that have helped with Blitz, and then thousands of fans and viewers.
Yeah.
And we also could not do that without you guys. So thank you to the fans. Thank you to everyone who helps with Blitz week in, week out. I mean, that's a very, very worthy game ball. We'll have to send out a lot of these.
Yeah, we might have to. Well, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we'll reveal who earned our final play of the week.
Play of the Week, sponsored by Taco John's.
Well, we had some really impressive Play of the Week nominees, but Jake, who is our final Play of the Week winner this season?
We're going to go back to the Game of the Week, where Drew Thompson, the play is dead, but he keeps driving his legs, gets a lot of help from the big fellas up front, and breaks loose. I said it earlier, but that is a strength and conditioning coach's dream. Like, whoever their strength coach is, should put that on a loop and say, this is why you need to max out your squat in the summer, because that is so impressive to stay on your feet and keep that balance.
Yeah, and shout out to the refs for not calling it dead. I'm sure they came close, but that's why you let the kids play.
Shout out to me for almost blowing the play dead on my end. I about stopped recording. I'm glad I didn't.
Could have missed a touchdown. Well, we are going to take one final break, but when we come back, Jake and I will take a look at which of our local teams are headed to the Dome next week. All right, well, the semifinalists are set for next week, so let's go ahead and take a look at 8-player, the defending state champs. Bishop Garrigan will take on Remsen St. Mary's on Wednesday morning at 10. That'll be followed by Lennox versus Gladbrook Rhinebeck at 1. In Class A, Madrid moving on after beating Lisbon tonight. And then in Class 2A, you saw the highlights, PCM moving on as well as Van Meter.
And then in Class 3A, Humboldt is moving on. They beat Solon 35-3, our lone 3A semifinalist. And then in Class 4A, Pella wins a rematch over Gilbert 19-14. And North Polk, as we saw earlier, rolls and stays unbeaten. And then in 5A, once again, 3 CIML teams headed to the Dome: Dowling, Southeast Polk, and Valley. We're going to get the state's biggest rivalry in 5A in the semifinals, Dowling against Valley. That happened, I believe, 2 years ago in the Dome, and it always lives up to the hype.
Yeah, just kind of looking at the matchups that we have here. I know North Polk has North Scott, and then Pella has Lewis Central and 4A. Those should be some pretty fun matchups. Yeah. I know Lewis Central has made some noise in the Dome. They're pretty fun to watch. So.
Yeah, Lewis Central beat one of our local teams, ADM, on a last-second just streak down the sidelines. ADM took the lead with under a minute to go, and then Lewis Central comes right back. And then I know Humboldt, they're still undefeated. They haven't won a state title in a while. So that community will be very excited to get to Cedar Falls.
Yeah, it looks like they'll be facing Mount Vernon. So that's a tough matchup because that's another dominant team right there. And just another, and going back to Class A, it looks like Madrid is going to take on West Hancock. So we're in for some pretty good semifinal games. I'm excited.
Yeah, sounds like we're going to have a lot to cover next week. And that coverage, I know it won't be on Blitz, but it'll still be right here on Local 5. So that's where you want to get all your high school football coverage.
Well, that's a great segue because that is going to do it for us here on Friday Night Blitz. And make sure, like Jake said, to stick with Local 5 for all of your state semifinal and championship coverage from Cedar Falls starting next week. And once again, thank you guys for joining us all season long, making our 25th season a special one. We really appreciate it. Have a great night.
Friday Night Blitz is sponsored by Fairway Meat and Grocery.